What's good, family? Man, so I'm actually reshooting this video because I went through, shot the whole thing the first time, only to find out that a couple of the video files were corrupted. And let me give you some background on what happened. So the in the troubleshooting process that I was going through, the MPC was reconnecting. However, it was actually knocking off all of my USB devices. I'm talking about, like, all my other external hard drives, the camera and everything. So I actually lost my original footage that I shot in this. And so just to kind of, recap on that part right there. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of splice in the latter parts, because my last two videos after I rebooted the system, things worked great. And as we come along, I'll explain it further, and it'll actually it'll kind of make sense. So, but let me go ahead and tell you what you kind of missed out on, right? So I initially, started off by, letting you guys know that I'm actually a Full Sail University student. I'm in my fourth month. I'm in the audio production program, and I'm doing it online. I'm active duty, so I still got to stay put, but the plan is that once I'm done with this associate's online program, that I'll go on campus and then move over to their music production continuing bachelor's program, and just kind of finish out my studies and everything like that, so I can kind of get myself well rounded and where I need to be. But with all that being said, I received my project launch box, which includes my new MacBook Air. So I basically moved everything over, just kind of did to have my backups and everything moved over from my old MacBook onto this new MacBook Air. And but one of the things that I've noticed, everything seemed to be working fine, but I could not connect my MPC live. At least initially, I thought it wasn't connecting, but it would after maybe about like 5 or 10 minutes of just letting it sit, right? So I don't know if it's something that got screwed up during the time machine backups or whatnot, and restoring it back, and it's like, oh, I'm on a different machine now, but I don't know, right? All I know is that it wasn't working. Initially, I was like freaking out because I was like, it's not compatible with MPC Live, because I saw something on the MPC website where it was listing all of the products that are actually compatible and not compatible with the new macOS Sequoia. Okay, so I'm running macOS Sequoia on a MacBook Air M3, 24 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of internal storage, right? So you would think this thing is like going to rock it out, right? Search the web and everything, tried reinstalling the drivers, right? That didn't work. But one of the things that caught my interest was Spotlight. So I went into system settings, right? Went under Spotlight, went under search privacy, and then I added my internal drive that's on my MPC, which is right here. This is the internal drive, right? So, and of course, I did that after, it sat, for like almost 10 minutes and finally connected, right? So I added it to Spotlight. And then after I did that, I disconnected, reconnected. It seemed to work. The only problem is that it would knock off all of my USB devices temporarily. So it's like it would just like cause them all to like just quickly disconnect and then reconnect as it's connecting itself. So, and it was in that moment when I was demonstrating that process during my original recordings that, that's how those files got damaged. Those original videos got damaged. Okay. So what did I do after that? I went into Spotlight. Okay. Went back into Spotlight, and I actually took it out, right? Took it out because I wanted to see if it was going to, if it was going to act right, and just see what would happen. Well, still did the same thing. It would connect with no problem, but it was still knocking USB devices offline. Okay. So what I ended up doing after that is I tried rebooting. When in doubt, reboot, right? And that's where the videos that are actually working are going to, take it from here and finish explaining this whole process and just kind of do a recap. So in a nutshell, the spotlight thing works. Watch the rest of the video, and I hope this helps somebody. All right. Okay. So it did it again, even though I no longer have it in spotlight. Very strange. I mean, it didn't take long for it to come back, but yeah, that's very strange. So since it's not in spotlight, I wonder what would happen after I reboot my Mac and go through this process again with it not being in spotlight. So let me go ahead and reboot, and then I'll be back with you on that. So let me first disconnect the MPC. It's taking a second. Come on. There it is. All right, so it's disconnected. Going back into standalone. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording, reboot, and then I'll go ahead and fire it back up, and we'll try it again, okay? And we'll see what happens. All right, so actually, I'm back now, and I've actually believe I have it working finally. And I mean, working without it disconnecting all of my USB devices at the same time. So I'm actually about to fire it back up a third time, because I did it a couple of times to make sure it wasn't a fluke. So I'm back in menu. I'm putting it in controller mode, waiting for it, and got the hourglass and looking for it on the computer to show up. I'm waiting. There it is. Okay, so yeah, and it actually worked without disconnecting my other devices. So let's just do a recap here and about like what happened. All right, so I went in initially, and I went under system settings, went under spotlight, went under search privacy. I added my MPC's internal drive in here, click done, right? And it appeared to be working, but it was disconnecting my other USB devices, right? So then I took it out, reboot it, and now since it's been rebooted, I think that just kind of cleared out whatever indexes it had and everything. It had a chance to rebuild its indexes or whatever the case may be. I'm only hypothesizing what could have been happening, but the one thing I know is that it's working fairly consistently now. It's working the way that that I've been accustomed to it working. It takes maybe a couple of seconds for it to connect and everything. That's to be expected, right? But it definitely isn't taking the 5 or more minutes to connect like it did before, and it's definitely not knocking off my other USB devices when I disconnect and reconnect again. Especially when I reconnect to it. So I'm extremely happy, and I am hoping that this helps somebody else out there that's running into this issue. So just one more time, I'm going to disconnect it. I'm going back into standalone mode on my MPC. Let me pull up my Finder here real quick. Okay, so MPC is not showing up in here, and there we go. Going back into new projects, menu, controller mode. It's still got the little emblem saying it's entering into controller mode. And now I got the hourglass. And now it says looking for computer. And we're going to wait for it over here. Waiting for it. And there it is. Bam. Beautiful. All right, cool. Once again, like I said, this is like the fourth time now, in a row where it's consistently performing this way. So that was definitely the key. Adding it, taking it out, and rebooting the system, right? Obviously, I would say go through the same steps that I did. You add it in there as an exception under the spotlight, try disconnecting and reconnecting it. It's probably going to knock off your other USB devices during that moment in time. But, just kind of go through that process and then reboot. Well, take it out and then reboot and then try it again. And hopefully that'll work. It's the weirdest thing, but all I know is that it worked for me and you were here to see it. All right. So until then, talk to you later. Easy.